Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Mandela effect. Without further ado, let's take a look at what we have found. Very popular in the Mandela community is C-3PO's leg. Has it always been silver, or was it gold? According to the makers of the movie, and Anthony Daniels confirms it in this USA Today 2015 article, C-3PO's always had a silver leg, till now, when they were coming out with their new movie. However, this sticker book from Lucasfilms shows C-3PO's leg completely gold. Another popular Mandela effect, and one that will stun almost anybody, is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs' magic mirror on the wall. Most people do remember it as Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. This book by Walt Disney also has Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. A major effect within the Mandela community is the missing island off the west coast of Australia. Pictured to the left is an actual map showing you that there is no island to the west of Australia. However, this artist seems to think that there was an island to the west coast of Australia, and its name was Mollucus. This is a newer one for my channel, and I'm not exactly sure if this is what you guys are looking for. I heard a lot about the Coke Zero brand not being an actual brand, and that it was always Coca-Cola Zero. I saw these Coke products sitting inside of a cooler, and I said, well, let me snap a photo because it says Coke Zero. So you guys let me know on this one. This next Mandela effect is about the missing movie Shazam. I don't have any hard evidence for you yet on this one, but I do have some residue, so let's take a look. Please note this picture is not real. I found it on Google. This is Shazam.com through the Wayback Machine. The Wayback Machine is a historical database of website pages. Some of them you can interact with, some of them you cannot. But it shows all the updates that were made throughout time and captured. So in 1997 you can see that Shazam.com was initiated, and it's been updated throughout time. Unfortunately, the screenshots of the website itself are not available. But it is very interesting that Shazam.com was being updated from 1997, the approximate time that we think the movie came out. The next piece of evidence of residue that I found is probably the most convincing in my mind. This website is talking about Shazam, the movie, coming out on DVD, and this started in 2006, but their discussion is talking about pirating. So I found this really interesting because these people are talking about downloading the movie and pirating the movie. Robert said, I like your comments, great links. Sandra said, great sites, thanks. John said, hello, thanks for the tips. They're discussing how to download the movie in 2006. He's talking about it being 47 gigabyte DVD, how MovieWeb periodically reviews web security. Here they're talking about how they copied the DVD. And here somebody is warning them that this is not a Sundance-provided IMDb film, and it's a copyrighted DVD. So it's very interesting that these people are being warned against downloading a movie that doesn't exist. To add to this situation, Shazam in 2006 did come out with a comic book series that was released called The Trials of Shazam. We can see that this is an e-book and was not released on DVD. In addition to that, 2019 Shazam, a movie, will be coming out about an adult superhero. Another piece of interesting information that I found while going through the Wayback Machine was Shazam LLC. This person seemed to have think Shazam was a good word for a genie in a bottle as well. When I see things like this, it's almost like reality is slapping me in the face, saying, "Mwahaha, you can't have it, Jessica. It's just not there for you." But this is really crazy to me because I was describing this movie during a conversation and then went to go look it up, and that's when I discovered the movie was missing and that it was a Mandela effect. Not only that, it was a day before Yahoo or CNN had come out with a news article talking about Sinbad had to come out and say he had never played as a genie in a movie. And then later that evening, while at a different friend's house who was watching a very old recording of All My Children, a TV advertisement for the movie release of Kizam, the other genie movie with Shaq, was playing on the recording. I thought, wow, if this isn't signs from the universe, then I don't know what is. Of course, yesterday, going through the Wayback Machine, finding this is just another one of those slaps in the face saying, It's right here, but you can't find it, you can't grab it. But here's all this residual evidence. That's why I kind of find the residual ones a little bit more mysterious and a lot more fun to research, because it gives me a challenge. But let's talk about a new Mandela effect that I have some hard evidence on. Smokey Bear or Smokey the Bear. A lot of people in the Mandela community believe that his name was Smokey the Bear. I would also believe that it is Smokey the Bear. And I believe that if it were Smokey Bear, we would have remembered it as Smokey Bear, because there are other very famous bears that have their first name as whatever and Bear as the last name. Such is the case with Fozzie Bear, Yogi Bear, and Boo Boo Bear. All of these bears we seem to remember by saying Yogi Bear. We don't remember Yogi the Bear. That just doesn't sound right, because it was always Yogi Bear. So it's pretty safe to assume if Smokey Bear were in fact Smokey Bear, we would have remembered it that way, but our memories are telling us it was Smokey the Bear. If you do your Google research, however, you will see Smokey Bear is the only bear to have existed, that we are misremembering Smokey the Bear. Or are we? Smokey the Bear, a read and hear record book. Just like one of the original record books that we found earlier with Mirror Mirror on the Wall, Smokey the Bear is presented here in this children's book to help us read. Let the second image be the one that vindicates your memory. Smokey the Bear and the stamp of Smokey the Bear's creators on the cover of this book. A question I get a lot on my Mandela videos is, when did you first realize? When were you first Mandela affected? This is actually hard for me to answer because I have had some hardcore changes through life, but did not have a label for it until 2015. So let me explain. I have absolutely no blood relation because I was adopted, nor have I ever met this person or even their close family. My dad, who is amazing and the only father I know, is related to the evangelical televangelist Billy Graham. My grandparents are his cousins or something. I'm not sure of the relation connection, but I would assume cousins anyways. I watched them leave Florida to go to North Carolina to see the family for the funeral. Apparently, I was going crazy at a young age. This happened in the early 2000s or late 90s, but then, years later, at a family dinner, when I mentioned the fishing trip my dad and I went on while they went to the Carolinas for the funeral, they looked at me and said he's alive and well. Of course, I questioned the shit out of everyone at that dinner table, and they swear they never went to the Carolinas that year or even within that time frame. But in my reality, they were gone for a few days more than a week. And to add to all the confusion, we all lived together because of my great-grandmother's health, so I would have noticed them being gone. But apparently they were there the whole time. He never passed away, there was never a funeral, and my father and I never went on this fishing trip. The second time I was Mandela affected, without knowing about the Mandela effect, was while watching a movie that had just come out, and I had already seen it. It was about 3 to 5 minutes into the movie, and I was stating that I knew the whole plot, and I was even saying lines that were going to be read in the movie before it was happening. Now, aside from creeping the person out that was watching the movie with me, I felt that I had already seen this movie that had just come out that day. This is very odd for back then because we didn't have pirating abilities. And even if we did, the internet capabilities weren't available to support such a large download. Pay-per-view didn't come out until the DVDs were already released. So there was no possible way for me to have seen this movie, but I had already seen the entire movie, knew the plot, and was able to say the lines before they happened. So that made a huge impact on me. The third time was when Mandela died for the second time. I read about this death on Facebook and made a comment like, "Oh wow, you guys are a bit late. He died forever ago and he was a bad man. Why are you celebrating his life?" You guys may have heard me say that before in the previous videos. Still, I went on in life knowing I knew what I knew and just assuming I was teetering on the brink of insanity by misremembering all these things I had already learned. So finally, it took me only like 2 years to look into his death and story, This is when I found out that others also remembered him passing away in the 80s or 90s. So the official date of 2015 is when I finally had a label for these mishaps, and it is when I found a whole community of people who noticed the differences as well. Having the community of people that noticed the differences was probably the biggest vindication and the most helpful, because it alleviated a lot of stress and made me realize I'm not as close to the edge of insanity as I thought I might have been. Now I have you all, and I love the ME community here on YouTube. Speaking of the fabulous YouTube community, I want your help. If you have a new Mandela effect, if you have hard evidence or residue, if you have some government conspiracy or just something interesting to share, email jessica1@gmail.com. Add the name you want me to credit, or let me know if you want to stay anonymous. If your story is very interesting and you would like to discuss your findings with me, I will record the interview and upload it for the YouTube community to enjoy. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like, put a comment, subscribe, and definitely share this information so that we can get it out there and get other people informed. Until next time, goodbye!